So I was reading Leviticus chapter 4 last night and some things really stood out to me. The chapter talks about the law for the sin offerings that the Israelites had to do to atone for their sins, from the anointed priest to the common person. Now, there's different types of rituals for the sin offering, which I find really interesting. So basically, the priest or the person who sinned would lay their hands on the head of the animal, like a bull or a goat, which symbolizes passing on their sins to the animal, before killing it, and the priest would sprinkle some of his blood on the altar 7 times, then put some on the horns of the altar, before pouring the rest on the base of the altar, so that they would be forgiven. So we see that a lot of blood has to be shed for the atonement of their sins. Also, a quick side note, try to avoid people laying their hands on your head because you don't know their intentions and they could be using you as a sin offering. It could be family members, pastors, or even hairdressers. Now, one thing we see repeated throughout the chapter is that the sin offering has to be without blemish. Otherwise, it wouldn't be valid for their sins and they wouldn't be forgiven. Does this remind you of something? Let's go over to the Gospels and the death of Jesus Christ. We see that Jesus is the ultimate sacrifice for the world. Why? Because his own blood is shed for our atonement. In John chapter 8, Jesus asks his opponents, "Which one of you convicts me of sin?" proving his perfection and truthfulness. Just like the sin offerings back in Leviticus, he is without blemish, which is the only acceptable sin offering to the Lord. John 3:16 reads, "For God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten Son, that whoever believes in him shall not perish but have everlasting life. Whoever believes in him is not condemned, but whoever does not believe is condemned already, because he has not believed in the name of the only Son of God." Whoever accepts Jesus' outstretched arm is saved and forgiven, but whoever rejects it stands condemned. Let's look at it this way. Out of all the religions in the world, Jesus Christ is the only God who dies for his people to save us from our sins. Why do you think that he was mocked so much, and people are still mocking him today? If the whole concept of Jesus saving us from being condemned wasn't true, if it was just a myth, then why is the devil trying so hard to keep people away from him? Jesus is our only saving grace. Let's do an analogy. Let's say you're out in the ocean, no land for miles, but there's a life raft in arm's reach. Now, you're not worried because you know that the life raft is there, but you don't grab on. You're being entertained by the other things in the water and you don't want to leave just yet. You're having too much fun and you know that if you grab on, you'll have to leave all these things behind. Meanwhile, the boat attached to the life raft is drifting off, and soon you'll be left all alone at sea and there's no other boat coming. And quickly you'll realize that the things distracting you was just that, a distraction, something to keep you from grabbing onto the life raft. Now, Jesus is our life raft, always in reach for those who choose to grab on. However, the devil tries to distract us, to keep us away from the only thing that can save us because he doesn't want us to be saved. The final message is a serious one. Jesus is coming back very soon. The rapture is happening very soon, and the dividing line has already started between those being raptured and those staying behind. The devil is a master of illusion. Do not be fooled by the fun and distracting things of the world. Remember, Satan is a temporary ruler of the world. He runs the systems, the culture, and he blinds the mind of the unbelievers. In Matthew chapter 7 verse 13, Jesus tells us to enter by the narrow gate, for the gate is wide and the way is easy that leads to destruction, and those who enter it are many. But the way of the narrow gate is hard. This requires leaving behind sinful lifestyles, personal pride, and worldly demands. In Luke chapter 13 verse 24, Jesus encourages people to strive to enter the narrow gate, indicating that this requires intentional effort and commitment. Because the way is difficult and self-denying, and only a small number choose to follow it. Now, what can we do to consciously choose the narrow gate? First of all, by the music and the artists that we listen to. Are they with God or are against God? Have they mocked Jesus or do they claim Jesus? Is there swearing in the songs? Is it indecent? Is it a song that you would feel comfortable playing in front of Jesus? If the answer is no, then delete it from your playlist. It's really important that you do your research on the artists that you listen to. Hopefully, as we all know, the devil runs the music industry. And there's some artists that are intentionally leading people away from God. They blaspheme the Lord and mock him. And by you listening to their music, you're consenting to what they have done, and you will be punished alongside them. It may sound harsh, but there's literally a spiritual war going on for your soul. Revelations 3:15, Jesus talks about spitting out the lukewarm and would rather prefer if they were hot or cold. You are either with God or against God. You cannot be in between. Also, try not to swear. If you do, try your best to stop because God really doesn't like it when we swear. Ephesians 4:29 tells us to let no corrupt talk come out of your mouths. Colossians 4:6 also tells us to let our speech always be gracious and seasoned with salt. As always, thank you very much for taking the time to watch this, and I pray that this message stays in your heart and in your mind. And God bless you all.